A good day to all of you. Before anything else, we would like to thank you for joining this webinar training program entitled PWDs in the Company, Combating Discrimination and Promoting Equal Opportunities. Today's going to be a wonderful day as we fulfill our minds with substantial knowledge relevant to our future endeavors as professionals. May we introduce ourselves first. I am Justine Alexia.
I am Shena Pedro and we are the MCs for today's webinar training program. Well, I guess maybe people are subconsciously asking us the reason why this topic was one of the options for our webinar presentation. And fortunately chosen by our respondents from the needs analysis survey that we have conducted. Persons with disabilities in the company. It is evident, especially in the Philippine workforce setting, that PWDs are still discriminated and prejudiced, preventing them to contribute to the daily needs of their families and further explore their potentials. The purpose of this webinar is described by 4 words: awareness, understanding, empathy, and compassion. We hope that by the end of this webinar, these things will be triggered within you, hoping the day will come that people with disabilities will no longer be victims of discrimination. Instead, be living evidence of what perseverance and courage can do. All right, now we will not wait you any longer. Let us now introduce our speaker for today's webinar.
So our speaker for today's webinar is a third-year BS Psychology student from NU Laguna. He is also the owner of SFR Aquaria, an aquatic pet store. Let's give a round of applause to Mr. Johnciel Gabriel Sofer.
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Regencia and Miss San Pedro. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar training program entitled PWD in the Company, Combating Discrimination and Promoting Equal Opportunities. All right. Let us begin by this. So, just by looking at these two individuals, we can definitely say that Miggy is a person with disability because it is noticeable that he has only one leg. Now, how about Fred? He seems healthy. His body part seems complete. So we can say that Fred does not have any disabilities at all. However, the truth is both Miggy and Fred have disabilities. Fred has autism, a developmental disability in which at first glance, you cannot really tell if a person has autism until you notice their hyperactive, impulsive, and inattentive behavior, and so on. And it just depicts that not all disabilities are visible. People should always be reminded of that. However, we cannot blame people to think that disabilities are always visible in the eyes because even the PWD logo or the person with disabilities logo, it's just, I think, misleading because if we tell people that not all disabilities are visible, then it should not be a logo with the person sitting on a wheelchair. Again, all of us should be reminded that not all disabilities are visible. Apart from that, everyone should also be reminded that people with disabilities, despite of the things they cannot do because of the various circumstances they are experiencing, they still have, sorry, they still have to be allowed to work in appropriate job wherein they can showcase their knowledge, skills, and talents and further explore their potentials. According to the Republic Act 7277 or the Magna Carta for disabled persons should always or be given access to suitable employment receiving the same terms of condition, wages, privileges, incentives, allowance, and so on as to a qualifiedly abled person. All right. So let us know the reason why. Why is that company must hire people with disabilities? Well, aside from the fact that it is supported by the law, hiring PWDs can have a positive impact on the company. PWD workers can be good, dependable employees, and it has often been found that PWD workers perform the same as able coworkers. Also, they can have comparable or safety records than those other able peers. Furthermore, workplace morale and productivity of all employees often increases and the company image is perceived positively. At the end of the day, it is the social responsibility of the companies as a response to community needs and promote equal opportunities to people, to all kinds of people, actually, able or not. Now, at this moment, let me show you some of the known PWD workers in the Philippines and are role models of courage and perseverance despite of the employment discrimination in the PWDs that is still prevailing in the country. First, the first one would be Ronel Del Rio. Despite of being blind, he became a broadcast journalist and the first to become known in 1996 in his radio program Good Morning Southern Luzon. He is also the first blind person to earn a master's degree in the Philippines in De La Salle University in 2003. Moreover, he pushed for the viable socialized resettlement program aiming to provide housing projects for the unprivileged people in Batangas. Next is Apolinario Mabini, or as we all know, the Dakilang Lumpo. Although he was not able to join the actual battlefield to fight for the Philippine freedom, it did not stop him to make contributions for the country's freedom. He was a member of Reform Association of Jose Rizal, the La Liga Filipina. He also became the chief advisor of Emilio Aguinaldo and the appointed prime minister of Aguinaldo's independent government. In spite of his physical condition, Mabini refused to submit to the American authority and continued to express his sentiments about the American colonization through his writings. Other famous persons with disability are Stephen Hawking, which is known for his theories about relativity and quantum mechanics, Rowan Atkinson, or as we all know as Mr. Bean, who has a speaking disability, and Ludwig van Beethoven. Wow! Despite his hearing disability at the age of 44, it did not stop him to compose more legendary music. Truthful is that disability will never have to be considered as a barrier to the working capability of a person. Now, now that we have learned the reasons why companies should hire PWDs, let us now discuss what the companies should do in order to provide accessibility and accommodation to their PWD workers. First, the first step for us is to take commitment, sorry, I was distracted by the dog, is to make a commitment, plan truly, and see it through. Companies and businesses first must take the one foot forward, the smallest and the start of everything. The commitment to provide for the PWDs accompanied with action to make the plans go through. Next, conduct research and formulate a plan for safe and inclusive requirements of those who are disabled. Ask what should be the barriers that the companies should address, the experiences of the staff, then build a plan to implement with detailed ideas and plans for hiring PWDs. Next step would be check the PWD inclusion in the company. The important part of this step is to assess if the current situation of the company allows inclusion. The company should provide accessibility for them, like for example, just by simply building ramps, elevators specially designed or designated for them, or even the tactile flooring, which can do so much help for the PWD workers, as well as the environment within the staff and their knowledge about the PWDs, and the communication within them should also be assessed. You should also check, or you should also need to check their well-beings, their concerns if they are facing any problems. Check the policies and practices if they lay out fairness within the employees. Have a clear and stress-free communication with the staff. Disability etiquette must be known within the company. With manners, politeness, and respect must be evident everywhere. Language matter as it reflects on how they perceive and treat these people and even how they perceive themselves. If there are any obstacles and barriers that could hinder the movement of the disability groups, see if you can do anything about it. And the last step would be developing and enhancing your plan. After you have identified the major details, especially the most important ones, which are in line with the company's and your goals, you may now establish a team for planning, resources, or have an HR department to take initiative for disability inclusion. Creating the plan must include a detailed summary, leadership commitment, outline of goals, and objectives of the plan. Accountability, implementation, implementation steps and timeline, communication methods and business case for supporting the plan, diverse education and training for staff recruitment, promotion and retention issues, benchmarking, measurability, and evaluation of the plan. Your goals and objectives could be along the lines of increasing the numbers of PWD staffs, even with intellectual disabilities, and even improving staff members' disability knowledge, and harness the ability for reasonable accommodations. Let me give you guys an example or a few examples of companies that are known to hire persons with disabilities and can get even better results for us to see the beauty of hiring them. An example of this is the Coca-Cola Company. They are known to have accepted, diversify, and hire qualified applicants regardless of age, race, religion, color, origin, sex, or even sexual orientation, gender, physical, or mental disability, status, citizenship, ethnicity, or any characteristic protected by the law. Thus, they are known for hiring people with disability as staff. Other known companies are UPS, IBM Corporation, Starbucks, Procter and Gamble, and SC Johnson. Here in the Philippines, the following companies are known for hiring PWDs. Frutas Group of Companies, Faron Cafe, Lamoyan Corporation, which is the Filipino toothpaste brand, Happy Toothpaste is produced from, and even South Star Drug. These companies do not just offer jobs for persons with disabilities, but offer other compensation like education support and utilization of other projects as well. All right. So, before I go, I would like to reinforce to everyone a thought that those who go through the pain are those who we call heroes. And we can help those in pain even if it just through a small act. Let us focus on the most important aspects and not just on one part of others that does not hinder the disabilities, the abilities, talents, and potential of many people. Thank you very much and have a blessed day, everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sofer, for your wonderful talk regarding PWD workers. It is very timely and informative, especially now with the pandemic still at loose in the country. Alexia, what do you think are the major takeaways for this webinar?
I totally agree with you, Shena. So, especially with us still with limited access to many things, despite the levels lowering these days. So, the situation is definitely harsher for those people who have disabilities. The ones with restricted movements even got their actions restricted. So, knowing, how to avoid discriminating our fellow humans and how to even give them hope by helping them is a move we must act on as a person and as a human who are experiencing these hardships together. So moving forward, as we are coming near to the end of our webinar, we would first like to thank Mr. Johnciel Gabriel Sofer for being here with us today and even giving us this timely and information-packed seminar. So let us give him a final and warm round of applause.
We would also like to thank everyone who are here and are watching this. We hope you've had a wonderful experience and learned much about our topic. Again, this is Shena and PEDRO.
And this is Justine, Alexia Hensha. We are now signing off.
Thank you.
Thank you.